I know this firstly, the iterations. I know this firstly, the iterations are closely related to the return. Were I to give the iterations a clear and simple definition, it would be right to call it a doppelganger. If you really find clarity in life and broaden your understanding substantially, you will certainly. For most, it begins with finding a peculiar twin of someone you know, or in some cases, a duplicate of one's own self. To this day, I still have a hard time understanding some of the stranger aspects that seem to take their note in this vein. It's as though there may be at times these seeming copies of ourselves that can be somehow jumped into the astral sense, or simply added to the majesty of our being. I guess another way you could think of the iterations is that they're a ray alike to us. As vessels of ourself that have somehow appeared again, how, why, and by what means are they for and utilized? It does seem that very talented people can speak right through them, as though their thought forms can swim beneath them when needed, or swim between them when needed. It seems also that they can speak through and retain what they communicate through them. It does seem a limiting choice, though, as utilizing the iterations seems to put limitations on other potential avenues of growth, such as elemental manifestation and true clairvoyance. There are great swaths of people, however, who externalize their guilt. The key with the sense of guilt and guilt feelings is that you can only work out your own feelings. No one can aid in healing. Ultimately, we must work out and resolve these things within ourselves. We have to heal from our own mistakes just as much as we must from our own wounds rent by external conflict. It should certainly be considered that those who externalize their guilt only often get lost in obsession with the demands that every other person atone, and to their satisfaction in spite of the actual nature of the situation, which they probably don't know. Problem is that sort of thinking often finds these crying out in lunacy for the condemnation and destruction of someone they deemed unworthy of life, dignity, and respect, are firstly not even remotely willing to examine their own shortcomings, often violently so. But at what point does their emotional intoxication and total abandonment of critical analysis and reason cross into the realm of acts of unrestrained psychological abuse and harassment? What then if it happened to be wrong? Being they externalize their guilt, they likely won't stop until they are made to stop, which is where they were. Fabricating crimes and re-victimizing victims. That is where they were fabricating crimes and re-victimizing victims. I said it twice because I wanted you to hear those words. It takes a lot to become a judge. Most people are not qualified to do it, and yet they always appeal to their emotional plight because they don't realize they blame others for their faults.